Hello, everybody.
What? Let's go to
We get a bit more volume. Okay. Everybody hear me? Yeah, they can.
9:30.
9:30. Okay, so welcome everybody to Cuthbury Wimborne Town Football Club for our presentation evening.
Also, there's a game on.
Firstly, I'd like to say that Ken Stewart sends his apologies. He would normally have done this function, performed this for a number of years, and unfortunately had a prior engagement with his family, whatever, which meant that he couldn't get out of that. So he sends along his apologies. I rather feel now, after the changes that have gone on this year, that it's rather a case of I'm doing this because I'm the last man standing as a member of the previous board. So you'll just put up with me. The youth have done it for a couple of years and put up with me. So now it's your turn. Okay, so historically, what we've done is just a way that the club have of thanking all of those supporters, all of those volunteers who put so much time and effort into not only supporting this football club, but making sure that things happen every weekend on a Saturday throughout the season. And that doesn't just include the first team when matches go ahead. That actually means when the reserves play, when we have the under-18s there, the stewards, etc. will come along and they help out on those days as well. So there are lots of different people, lots of backroom staff that go on there, and this is just the club's way of saying thank you for that. Just before I actually start everything off, you'll see many of you will have seen as you come in the flowers there for Seymour or whatever. There is, can I just urge you once again, pancreatic cancer is a killer. Wayne is going to be doing a charity run for it, so I'd urge you all to go onto the relevant pages or whatever and make a donation to the run that he's doing to raise some funds towards that. It's a worthy cause and it's something that we should all be supporting. So, and if you want to leave a donation behind the bar or on there, then feel free to do so. There will be some more. There will be another presentation later on that subject. Okay, let's move on first. The stewards, as I said, are probably the most important people. In terms of ground security, things of that nature. Well, they think they are. That's the way the system works. So I've got a list here. I'm working from a list that I've been passed on from Paul Miller and from Ken over previous years. So Kevin Hart, Kevin around?
No.
Not here. No. Never there, whenever. What a great start to the evening then. Well, I know Mike's here, breaking tables or chairs. So Mike, you want to step forward? Mike runs our security operation. Thank you very much. Let's keep going next year. Adam Toiber as well. Help yourself, sir. Darren Jones. Well done, first team. Well done, mate. Thank you. We will do that room out eventually for you, don't worry. Okay, I know Freddie Joyce has not arrived yet. No. Poaching, catching a few rats or something on the side. Pete Stroud, no. Peter's not. No. Okay, I hadn't seen whether Gabriel had managed to arrive or not. I love Guinness. I love Guinness. So, thank you very much. We'll get that sorted aside there. Brian McCann, 50-50. A valuable contribution to the season.
It's the magician.
Go for the Guinness prize. Give us a drink.
I just can't work out how Brian manages to extract so much money. You normally work out the amount of 50-50 per crowd is a sort of standard ratio, but you know the guy must be sort of walking around with a submachine gun and getting money out of people. It's just it's
Gets his crunch.
okay, Brian. No Brian Brewer. No. Okay. Okay. So from the person I really think should be doing this particular job is, of course, our very own PA man, Barry Maxted. So Barry, if you want to step forward. Sore throat, yeah. And of course, people need to be able to get into the ground, of course, so we have our turnstile people. So Colin and Rudy and Tony, if you'd all like to step forward. Don't drink it all up. Don't drink it all up.
Just top up these ones.
Moving swiftly on, of course, if we all look out of the window, of course, next year's operation has already started. And probably, I think, the man who does more for the club than any other single person in this club. I always say to him that he's one of those people that all clubs can't do without. So a big thank you to our groundsman, Brian Super.
And we don't need changes.
I haven't seen Graham around.
Yeah, he's here somewhere.
Yes, around. Well, go on then, Graham. Now, for the programme operation, I'm absolutely convinced that programme of ours is going to win an award somewhere around the league one of these days. What a great read it is from our local journalists. Okay, a few little bits and pieces that we've got. Special awards that have been conjured out of nothing. So where's Chris? Chris, you want to just sort of come forward? As you know, this year has seen the formation through the year of the supporters club, and that can be, you know, for a club that's going to grow, as I think we.
Just rebending it and it will grow.
As we grow and move forward over the next few years, this is going to be a regular feature from the supporters club perspective. But those of you who don't manage, who aren't lucky enough to be able to get away to watch these guys play at away matches, and I'm sure all of the players will recognise the value in this. You know, there's one particular guy who we have that turns up week in, week out, whether it's home or even away, and I mean whether it's away to long distances, etc. So this year's supporter of the year is Luke Coates.
I think we've We call it Catcher of the Year.
Yes, Lou.
And there is actually one other presentation that I've been handed here from a supporter's perspective, and it actually reads on here. It says, "I'd like you to present this to John Edwards for valour in supporting Wimborne Town Football Club." So, John, if you'd like to step forward.
Come on, John.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
Right, well done. Thank you. For those of you who didn't see it, I'm sure John will be showing you all afterwards a signed photograph of Pat Jennings that's been obtained by Brian for us. Thank you very much, Brian. Much appreciated. Okay, so I'm just looking for some things to start appearing at the back of the bar there, which we'll do. Okay, so one of the things that we also have to thank our supporters club for is, of course, and he's gone and sat down now again, is the tireless work that Chris does in trying to get things organised from the supporters club perspective. So Chris, if you want to step forward and just accept a little thank you on our behalf.
I don't need to go to the bar again.
Okay, now one of the things that can't hear back here. One, two, more. Any better? Okay, now one of the people that we sometimes forget.
That's too loud.
That we sometimes forget is in the fundraising side of things. We have annually awarded a trophy, which isn't always the same trophy. It's a trophy which is kept by the individual as a token of thanks from the club for the amount of work in supporting the club, organising functions, general background helping. So if I can have one set, yes. And this year's Cuthbury Cup trophy will go to Michel Gauvier.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on now to the players and the reason that we're all here, supporting a football club. So we'll move on to the football awards. Okay, so the first. So Simon, if I can just ask you to step forward.
Which one are we doing first? Yeah,
Hello. Yes, it does work.
Time warp, isn't it?
Presentation nights. I'm always a bit worried about how they're going to end up. Really, whether they end up being a drunken celebration of the year, and that's probably, as you probably all know, it's been a difficult year for the club, both on and off the pitch. And when it comes to delivering awards, I was only here for half of it, so you could argue that, am I the right person to present this award? But Brendan and myself had a chat about... Can you hear? No, is that better? Sorry. Because it's usually here, doesn't it? Sorry. I'm not only quiet, so... Sorry, Ken? So with regards to this award, and I always find it sometimes a little bit divisive actually if you're thinking about giving a manager's player of the year award, because for the guys that are here tonight, they all deserve an award. They've all gone through a really difficult time with regards to the finances of the club and what the club's gone through, and I think certainly the results in the last few games have sort of see that we've turned a corner a little bit, but so they all really deserve a round of applause. You can save that till the end, and I don't want to give them too much to talk about now. However, there is sort of one player that stood out for us this season, and I have to give this award to somebody. So Brendan and myself decided that this guy sort of epitomises what Wimborne's about, and I hope that you will agree with us as well. And this award goes to Scott Arnold. Okay, the next award is the Players Player of the Year award. As a player myself, when I did, this was always an award that was sort of well coveted in the change room, because it's your teammates, your oppos that are actually voting for you and think that you've done as good a job as anybody else in the season. Normally what happens is I would gather the guys together, probably give them a slip of paper, put the name down and then send it back to me. That way I know that there's not going to be any tactical voting. Unfortunately, I didn't have that option today or this year, and I ended up sending out texts to people, and they all came in at different times, some straight away, some a few days later, so I have no idea whether there is a little bit of tactical voting that's gone on with this today. Certainly with some of the players that have been here all year, who they voted for was quite a surprise. Having said that, I think it is going to the right guy. It was very close, so those of you that thought you might have been in with a shout, you possibly were. But this guy's played in all positions this season for us. He's part of why we've done so well this year, and I think he's got a bright future in terms of what we want to do next year, playing in his favourite central midfield position. So the Players Player Award goes to Billy Mabry.
Back that should go.
This is for the top goal scorer this year, so it shouldn't be that difficult to work out based on who's here. And Dennis has just said it's by default, but again, I don't want this to appear that it's like a second-hand award. It's not, because this goes to a guy who, pretty much like Scott, is very much part of the club and part of what we want to do for next year. And I've still got to have a little chat with him about making sure that he does stay with us next year. But he's been an integral part of what we've done this year. And if he hasn't been scoring goals for us, then he's been making them. So I think in this case, the fact that he's been there all year as well, regardless of whether he actually officially is our top goal scorer, but he certainly deserves his award, and that's James Stoker.
job, girls.
Improved young player. Are you on it? Yeah.
Right, this big shield here is for the, is it the Ted Ryder Memorial Shield of the Young Player of the Year. Now, based on what I've sort of spoken about the players that have been gone and through this season, and looking at the players that we've had left, I think there's probably majority of the squad would qualify for this award, because I don't think there's many over about 21 years old anyway. But having said that, again, I've got to pick an individual out, and this one goes to a guy who I didn't actually know anything about whatsoever when I came to the club. In fact, I don't think he was there the first game because he was busy working. And I really didn't know until I put him on the pitch whether he was going to be any good or not. But having said that, he's one of the players, along with many others of the young guys that have been with us this season, that have grown and grown and grown. And I think if he keeps his head on the, head in the ground, but if he keeps his feet on the ground and keeps on smiling, there's every chance that Louis Callaway will be a good player. So this goes to Louis Callaway this year. Just a quick award. I've done all the player stuff, and we've done lots of thank yous, and I don't want to miss anybody out, so I'm not going to go around everybody and thank this person, that person. You all, I'd like to think you all understand that both from the players and from the management, we have appreciated every bit of support from inside the club and out. Supports people like Luke, who's followed us all over the place. It really is appreciated, and everybody that's stuck by us in these difficult times, we appreciate that. But there's this one guy, he sits behind us on the coach, and he moans and he moans and he moans and he moans, and he makes a 2-hour journey last about 5. Okay, we've watched a couple of videos on it, and he said, "Oh, it's rubbish, it's rubbish." He finds a good one, and eventually it's we have to sit through it, and it's normally a load of crap that we have to put up with. But this is a little present for John Edwards. And we've got a DVD here, which I know John will really appreciate, and I'd like him to come out and accept on behalf of the management. And I hope this is the first DVD we watch on the next away trip. What is it? Well, you've got to open it up and let us know. And make sure you open it in front of it, because I know how you love this film.
Brokeback Mountain.
I'd love to repeat what he said about it when he watched it the first time round.
Joking.
Joking. He loves it. John's words were, after we watched it going up to Cinderford, and he finished the film after a pretty horrible journey up, and he said, "If I never see that again, it'll be too soon." So anyway, congratulations, John.
Lovely, thank you very much, Simon. Paula, if you want to just step forward, and we'll have our it's tradition here at Wimborne to have a chairman's player of the year, so I'll just let Paula explain her thoughts.
Thanks, Dennis. Bit of a difficult one for me, because obviously I only came back in January. Not seen too many games, probably about 4 or 5, but this player was here when I was here the first time, and I was very impressed with him then, and I've been very impressed with him this year from what I've seen. So my player of the season goes to Billy Maybury.
And Chris, if I can just ask you to come up and present the Supporters Player of the Year.
I'd have dressed up if I'd done it.
It's probably one of the first and only occasions getting the cameras out for Chris to be using a microphone.
No. Well, it doesn't say who it is. Nobody's told me.
I
My goodness. Well, it was. I know, Brian. Thanks for going round and collecting everybody's votes. It was sprung on you, I think, by a message on the internet forum, and I had meant to phone him up and say, "Would you mind doing this for us, Brian?" But it was incredibly close, and it's fantastic actually that this has happened. We've got so many good players that everybody's voting for that it was very close, and it was won by one vote, and it was won by Billy Maybury.
Well done, Billy.
Okay, now our last year, some of you may or may not be aware of, last year was actually a rather special year because, and it's one of the reasons that I became involved with Wimborne Town, and that is the 3 tea ladies that we have. A real asset to the club. Last year they were actually voted by one of the other clubs as the most welcoming set of tea ladies within the league, and it's a well-deserved award. I think we're the envy of all of the Southern League in terms of the ladies that serve behind this. So if you give us a special award, ladies, if you want to just step forward and accept some flowers on behalf of the club. You should be stars of the show. There is, of course, another set of flowers there, and I can just have those ones there. This is rather. You've forgot the microphone, the personal one. Come on. This is a rather a personal set of flowers that I'm actually giving out today because many of you will know that we will at some stage in the near future, we're not quite sure how long it will be, how short it will be, but we'll be losing the services of Ken Fergus from the club, who will be moving out of the area. Now, these aren't for Ken, but these are actually for his long-suffering wife, Liz. So if you want to just step forward.
You've got to make a speech now.
And Ken, if you can step forward as well. You can't buy a Scotsman unless it's a single malt. Okay, so we have one more award, as I said earlier on this evening, with the losing Stevie to pancreatic cancer earlier on in the day. Dave and Haley have kindly presented an award. Now this, I suspect, will probably, they have nominated and asked this one particular, what they described as being the Clubman of the Year. Now, in their terms, the Clubman of the Year needn't necessarily be a player. It could be a player. It could be somebody in the backroom staff And historically, when we've awarded the Cuthbury Cup, for example, that we awarded to Michelle, that has been for somebody an award that they take away and they keep that award. This will be a memento, a shield, which will be presented, and it's going to be called the Steve Moore Clubman Award. Steve was a great clubman. I saw him 3-4 years ago when Nick Hutchins was running the under-18s and Ed Taylor was running the reserves, and young Steve was playing as a little chubby midfielder, playing in the midfield, and he was playing with all young lads of sort of 17, 18, 19. And I don't know if you spoke to any of those young lads today, I don't think any of those young lads would have a bad word to say about Steve. They would have, you know, he was just a super guy to be around, and he looked after them and did exactly what Ed Taylor had brought him in for, and that was to bring those young lads along. And guys like Louis Kellaway, etc., and those that know him will testify to that. So this special award this year, the Steve Moore Clubman Award, if you'd like to step forward, Dave, and present it for me. And this year, the first year, it goes to Scott Arnold. And just one final thing before we finish. This is the last award. If Simon and Brenda could just step forward, just a little thank you for your services this season, just for the great job in rescuing us and keeping us afloat, and looking forward to the future. So if you just step forward, guys. Buying his own wine.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Sorry guys, I should have realised of course that there are two sides to my piece of paper, and I hadn't turned over this yeah, sure. So there's another couple of awards to be made, but first of all, the first one that I want to make sure that everybody is all aware of is those of you that aren't fortunate enough to be able to get away and watch the away matches. Many of you will actually switch on to the YouTube channel and that. So we have an awful lot to thank Dave Briggs for. So Dave, if you want to step forward. And I think Simon's got a few words to say as well.
I don't know what the format is with these presentations, even so Dennis is in charge of them, so I sort of assumed that this chap was going to get an award or get some recognition.
He is on the list.
He is on the list, and I'm just a little bit embarrassed that it's come to this where I'll have to come and speak about it. There's a gentleman that's at the club who, when my brother was here, said, make sure you keep hold of this guy, he's an absolute diamond, and he absolutely is. And he does so much work for me and for Brendan with our training nights, and he does it on away games and home games, and probably doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. So I want to make sure that all the players are here, because they need to understand, well, they do understand anyway what he does. I do believe he was here trying to cause a bit of a fuss a week or so ago, and worrying people by fainting in the hot weather, and he now tells me that John Macy was beating on his chest as well at one point, which I was a little bit surprised. But John did tell me he was fine, which is why I didn't bother getting any flowers ready. But this guy is, again, we talk about the players being the epitome of the club. This guy is the epitome of Wimborne Football Club, and please put your hands together and give your appreciation to Jeff Robbins.
done, Jeff.
Thank you very much. My apologies to Jeff for missing out. And of course, this really is the last one. I think I have forgotten now, of course, and it's yet another person who, without this, is an integral part of the club. And I know this as the youth secretary, how much work goes on in the background. So if you can step forward, Peter Barham. Quite simple to say, without Peter, the club wouldn't be able to exist within the Southern League. So well done, Peter. Yeah, Jess, he's hiding there behind his son, that's what it is. Jeff, for all those match days, those of you who don't actually see what goes on in a little office, a little cubby hole that they lock us away in, every match day, of course, all that cash needs counting. So step forward, Jeff is one of the three guys that helps us out with that. So. Anybody else I've forgotten now? This is the first time I've done this. It's probably the last time, Paula, I'm going to be asked to do that or whatever. Right, okay, now we can go to the bar.
Sure?
Absolutely.